cry. Donna Jaja children no cry. But there is a land I tell you now, where saints immortal reign. God Ethiopia, there is a land I tell you now, where there's no stress, no strain. I tell you, children, don't cry, no, don't cry no more. Donna Jaja, children, no cry. Donna Jaja, children, no cry. Donna Jaja, children, no cry. Don't cry no more. Wipe away your tears now. Don't cry no more. Donna Jaja, children, don't cry. No. Donna Jaja, children, don't cry. Donna Jaja, children, don't cry. No. Donna Jaja, children, no cry.
Yes, vielen Dank. Wie gesagt, zuerst wird sprechen der Maler Michael Haile über seine Bilder, die ihr hinten seht. Und dann werden wir den letzten Vortrag haben von Professor Jahlani Niaah from the University of the West Indies, Head of the Rastafari Studies Unit. Michael Haile, give thanks.
I'm going to present about my works, mainly which I get inspired by this event and paint the Empire, King Haile Selassie. So I'm going to present something and I hope every one of you will understand me. I start from my school. I studied in Haile School of Fine Art at Addis Ababa University, which was a palace or King Haile Selassie brought the inspiration and we have it. I'm happy I'm from there. As we all of us knows, King Haile Selassie served a very big role in the making of African Union, which was aiming at a very big effort to promote peace, security, and development across the continent. And while I was doing Silence the Guns project, the things which always come to my mind is Haile Selassie's speech, which they have done at the League of Nations, which we know, I think most of us we know. His speech was in the League of Nations mainly contains these ideas, like serves for the oppressed nations, symbolizing resistance against colonialism and force foreign aggressions. So, yeah, through these things I get very inspired. Plus, there is also one letter which makes me really inspired from King Mililik. And while I was working this project, I was contemplating in my mind a lot, which was they sent two letters. One was to call the war to Ethiopia. The second one was the best international relation letter which I have ever seen. The King Mililik sent to the Italian soldiers, a letter saying that I'm not proud of this war. A lot of Christians have been died from my side, and from your side too, a lot of people have been died. I'm not proud of something which people died through it. So I wish we will reach in this stage, and if anyone is going to have any kind of questions through the paintings, I will go for it, and I will show one video which I was seeing while I was working, and I will go through it.
It is good that you are here to record this picture of me in my palace garden at Addis Ababa. People who see this throughout the world will realize that even in the 20th century, with faith, courage, and a just cause, David will still beat Goliath.
And thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael Haile, for your great paintings and the contributions you have made to this symposium. So now, with no further ado, Jahlani Niaah from the University of the West Indies, head of the Rastafari Studies Unit, will give us his talk about modern Ethiopianism in the Caribbean, and we will start with a video of His Majesty's visit to Jamaica. Just a short
Undaunted by the driving rain, a sea of faces awaited at the Palisadoes Airport the arrival of a living legend. To some, he was the King of Kings, the Lion of Judah, even a god. But to most, he was a mild-mannered monarch who had won the respect and admiration of Jamaicans. The air was charged with excitement as anxious, expectant faces searched the skies for the first glimpse of the great silver bird that would bring their hero to Jamaican soil for the first time. Members of a local cult, the Rastafarians, who were easily distinguished by their long beards and unshorn locks, and who worship this figure as a deity, were present in full force. Rousing, boisterous, tumultuous welcome ever given to any visiting or local celebrity, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia, arrived. The crowd erupted into a frenzy of rejoicing as they broke through the lines of soldiers and police and surged out onto the tarmac, eager to engulf the Emperor with their affection. The ceremonial welcome that was planned had to be abandoned as the avalanche of men, women, and children swept away all semblance of order. Ethiopia, a monarchy on the eastern side of Africa, has been governed since 1930 by Haile Selassie, whom history records as being a direct descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Jamaica was among the places visited by His Imperial Majesty on his tour of the Caribbean area. Huge crowds jostled for choice vantage points all along the route in the hope of seeing the emperor. George VI Park, thousands also awaited his arrival. Cenotaph, His Imperial Majesty laid a wreath in memory of Jamaicans who gave their lives in both world wars. The tomb of the noted Jamaican patriot Marcus Garvey was also visited by the Emperor. The royal party next drove to Jamaica House, the official residence of the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Sir Alexander Bustamante.
Greetings. Thank you, Mr. Chair MC. I wish to start out by reiterating what was said by our last speaker, the artist, that after all that has been said today, it's quite, it feels like quite a feat to speak to you at the end of the evening. So, a concept I didn't prepare you for, but I think it's also important. It comes from my teacher again, Plano. He describes the Rastaman as the earth most strangest man. Earth most strangest man. It's intentionally bad grammar, right? But he says that in the way I'm talking about the bad father as not Rasta, he's saying we are strange and we don't have a problem with that. We are the strangest earth creature. And that strangeness means that we are intolerant to certain things, especially as it relates to injustice, and we will go to any means to have the earth return to its rightful balance kind of thing. So the Rastaman is self-activated, and they talk about the careless Ethiopian that we're trying to correct in our own self in order to have this elevation. I just to seal up, because I do wish to allow for questions. I would say that Rastafari has developed an army around the ascension of His Majesty to the throne. That army is now international, but it's well ordered as well. In fact, to go back to the conversation about Pan-Africanism, we have never had a Pan-African ethos which is so cohesive. And by that I mean, in spite of everything, Rastafari has an amazing level of cohesion around food, around ideology, around spiritual intention and direction, repatriation, around dress, you name it. And there are a range of things that might not be so homogeneous. But you're talking about a community that started in Kingston, and you now have practitioners in Côte d'Ivoire, Shashamane. South Africa claims to have the largest Rastafari population, numbering 4 million. That's what South Africa says. And it continues. Rastafari in the Grand Canyon among the Native Americans. Rastafari among the Maori in New Zealand, in Australia. You know, Rastafari in the tip of the southern pole, Chile, Argentina, Brazil. And what is striking is that this is occurring without any sponsorship, without any subvention. This is what Siobhan says, organically developing. He says the way you know that Rastafari is a genuinely organic folk religion, it don't need no preacher. It don't need no emissary to be sent. It can emerge from interior ground conditions quite normally and quite naturally, just based on the irids, you know, that same iritical sound I was able to hear in the German I didn't understand. So yeah, the army has a worldview which is quite cohesive. The idea of the diplomacy behind the visit has brought us into a tradition of imitation of His Majesty. So from the 70s onwards, Rastafari, particularly the Nyabingi community, has been able to globalize around that mission idea, that principle of solidarity. In some instances, it's a mission to set right practice. In some instances, it affords for critical interventions at the state level. And I can give you an example, just to seal up. We now have, at my university, a degree minor in Rastafari studies. Most of our students are Europeans, interestingly. You know, the Jamaicans don't think we have anything to teach them, but all the Europeans find the class. And in doing that project, the University of the West Indies has kind of maintained a role of interlocutor in helping to publish and to provide legitimate research that the skeptical who require the big-headed academics to tell them it's okay, you know. The university has been in the forefront of that. And we have understood that our students must have the critical sensibilities that Rastafari has brought. You know, theory of Babylon. You think of one word which is more loaded than saying to someone, you're Babylon. You know, even those who don't quite get it. You know, so the weight of Rastafari's complex but simple pedagogy. You know, if you think about something like ITAL is my medicine as well as it's my mental health, as well as it's my psychological health. It's my livity. If you think also about the unifying patois and reggae as philosophy and idiom, you know, it's a work smart sort of being able to extract from your hardship those aspects that are going to give you survival, you know, what we call turn your hand make fashion in Jamaica, or some people describe as, you know, making sense from the business of hardship, which is what reggae has largely been. So the Ethiopians have been good people who have provided us with a reminder of who we are and who we want to remain being. Thank you.
Nobody before you has clarified the visions of Rastafarianism to me as you have done tonight.
Thank you.
For the first time in my life, I now know what your real visions are. They were hidden to some of us Ethiopians for various reasons, religious reasons, reasons also because we didn't know your true mission. What I have always believed and what you have given me
15 hours.
support now is the fact that you are the greatest institution regarding African unity and Pan-Africanism as a whole. And my dear Professor, I sincerely hope one of these days you are going to make an appeal to the African organization, to African unity as such, to consider the Rastafarian movement a member of the Commission. Why is there not a place, a directorate, I would say, for Rastafarianism? You are doing much more than the African unity in Addis Ababa as far as Pan-Africanism is concerned. I can assure you that. I can assure you that. So in many ways, it's not a question, it's my humble and most profound thanks for this wonderful evening that you have given us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a follow-up comment on your last point. Horace Campbell, the scholar, says that Bob Marley, in 36 years, but if you're thinking of his career in less than a decade, pushed that conversation of Pan-Africanism further than a century of Pan-Africanism. That's Horace's assessment, and I think I hear you saying something similar. Yeah. Thank you. Any further? I see a brother. Yes, please.
I have one question, and this is, what is the situation of Rastafarians post-Emperor's time in Ethiopia? Because I heard, I'm an Ethiopian, I'm sure you know situation, may know better than me. What is the situation in Shashamane where the emperor, the great king of Kizkega place, the first settlement race, where they expanded in Ethiopia? And I hear now there is a kind of persecution against the Rastafarians. And how do you see that? Thank you.
Okay. My hands-on of Ethiopia is a little rusty. I've not been there in at least 5 years or so, but we're in constant dialogue. Ethiopia is hard to understand from outside, you know, and the hearsay doesn't help. But the community, as far as I'm aware, is still settled. From time to time, there have been a number of different issues, but the main concern was with the design for Shashamane that impacted some of the existing structures that were developed, not mindful of the official municipal design. As far as I'm aware, those issues have been addressed somewhat. In fact, the Ethiopian ambassador who was in Washington a few years ago was actually very instrumental in being attentive, not just to the diasporic, but the West Indians in Ethiopia. So ID cards have been issued, and in my mind, a range of things have happened to better lay foundation for stronger connections with the Caribbean. In fact, I think the last 4 years have really foiled what would have been more advanced towards Caribbean progressive relationships. I've not answered your question. The short answer is that I'm not clear as to what might be occurring in the way that you're talking, but I have not heard of anything that is particularly different or problematic in recent times. If someone else knows differently, then I can ask them to share that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Come on.
Yes, my brother. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to also express my sincere thanks, for your time here and your words and your interesting facts that you have presented. There is one question I would like to ask you in regards of the state visit of His Imperial Majesty in Jamaica. Since we are celebrating the state visit in Austria and in Germany, as we have, but of course in Jamaica it was a very significant one, as we have seen in the footage and to some of the stories and tales that are being told. So we have to remember in Jamaica that it was the Rastafarians who started to say Haile Selassie is either God or he is a prophet, he is someone we should see in a certain way different than we just see any ordinary man. And because of that, Pinnacle was destroyed from Leonard Howell. There was the Cora Garden incident before His Majesty came to Jamaica. So Rastafarians were being discriminated in the most brutal way and cruel way. So what I have heard, and maybe you can confirm this, is that one of the ideas or the intentions of the Jamaican government to invite His Imperial Majesty to Jamaica was they were hoping that His Majesty would debunk the idea that what the Jamaican government or society was thinking how the Rastafarians saw Haile Selassie. Yeah, and they were trying to get His Majesty to debunk this and to not deal with the Rastafarians. But instead, when His Majesty landed, the situation escalated. It was out of the control. Protocol was broken. There was no more protocol. Jamaican government had lost control over their protocol. And His Majesty had to go to the Rastafari elder and say, my brother, please set order so that I can step out of the plane and greet my people.
But once more, and this is my final point, the Jamaican government has taken a leadership in the Caribbean role on the issue of reparation, but it is done with the suggestion that, Rasta, you've taken it here, give it to me now. And we've seen very little movement in almost a decade of that official Jamaican government leading on this reparatory justice conversation. Selassie the Chapel is going to be our final word.
Give thanks.
Thank you
Rasta
very much.
Niaah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Is the church